what's going on, guys? My name is Zach from Just Cuz Games, and as you guys can tell by the title of this video, I have a crazy story to tell you today. But before we get into it, let me start by saying this gameplay here is from Alex. It is using the brand new HG40. This gameplay was recorded in theater mode, so if it looks glitchy at all or anything, that is why. Alright, let's get right into this story. So it's stories like these that honestly make me lose hope in humanity, or at least in the gamer community. Okay, so I was sitting in church the other day, right? I was sitting in back, on my phone, just enjoying myself, having a nice time, checking Facebook, checking Instagram, checking Snapchat, all that good stuff, and I hear the pastor up front start to talk about games, like video games, and I was like, okay, I know about that. Let me listen in for a minute here. So I pay attention, I hear him start talking about video games, and I'm listening to him and he goes, okay, I'm an old man, is what he says. He says, so I don't know that much about video games and gaming or anything like that. And then right there, I'm like, then why do you think you can talk about it? And he's like, but I read an article by a young man who plays video games, he said. And he said, this man who wrote the article about Battlefield 1, okay? And he gave his professional opinion on Battlefield 1 based on the trailer given. Now, apparently, in this article, according to my pastor, this man decided that he will not be playing Battlefield 1 at all. And here was his reasonings. He had two main reasons for not playing Battlefield 1, both of which were equally as stupid. Reason one that he stated was Battlefield 1 has gotten such good graphics. He said, video games these days, such as Battlefield 1's graphics, have gotten so good, especially within a World War I situation, that he feels when he's playing it that he's shooting actual real soldiers from World War I because it was a real-life event that happened and the graphics are so good. Okay. We could all just kill ourselves right now, obviously. But before we do, let's analyze this, okay? He starts out by saying the graphics are too good, is the first thing that he says. You're complaining about a game right now because the graphics are too good, and the guy who wrote this article, that my pastor apparently agrees with, calls himself a gamer. But you have gotten to the point in your gaming career, if you will, where you say that the graphics are too good, therefore you are choosing not to play that game. I'm sorry, but you're an idiot. You know nothing about gaming. This guy probably only plays games that look like freaking Wolfenstein 3D, okay? That's probably the only shooter game he plays, because you know why? Graphics are unrealistic. And therefore, if the graphics are unrealistic, he doesn't feel like he's actually killing people. Now that's the second point, okay? This guy says that he doesn't want to play, first of all because the graphics, second of all because they're so good, it makes him feel like he's actually killing people within World War I. Now, let me just say, okay, if you are a gamer and you play video games, such as this guy, he calls himself a gamer, okay, and you, when playing a video game, have the feeling that you actually just killed a person in real life, whenever you kill a person in the game, you get the feeling that you just murdered someone, then you shouldn't be playing video games at all, regardless of the graphics. I'm sorry, because you have a problem. You need to go see a freaking professional. People like this guy, honestly, have serious issues that apparently need to be worked out by some kind of a counselor or something. So I'd recommend to this guy that he needs to go get counseling, because you're literally saying to me that when you shoot someone in a video game, you feel like you just committed murder. If that was me, if I felt that way, I would have to deal with millions of lives that I took on my shoulders, not to mention all of the video game family members that have lost their husbands, lost their fathers, because of me. Okay, if that's how I felt, then I currently am responsible for millions of deaths of soldiers, millions of deaths of Spartans and their family members have to deal with the fact that I just took their father and husband and grandfather and everything. Well, grandfathers probably aren't fighting in war, they're old. But I took them from them. Oh my gosh. The amount of idiotic thought that comes from this man who writes this article, okay, is insane. Is insane. And so my pastor's up there, and he's reading this article, and he apparently promotes it and agrees with this guy. All I can say at this point is that this guy probably is super excited for Infinite Warfare. He's over there watching the trailer for Infinite Warfare, and he's like, oh, now this right here, this is something I can get down with. You know why? Because it takes place in space, in the far-fetched future, right? It's not realistic at all, and so therefore, I don't feel like I'm actually killing people because this feels like a fantasy game that takes place in space and isn't realistic at all. Therefore, I'm super excited for Infinite Warfare. Because, honestly, God forbid, our games would actually give us the feeling of being in actual war and provide some real tension to the gameplay and actually give us a little adrenaline rush and be competitive and realistic. Nobody wants that, do they? It's not like anybody's been asking for that. Like, the entire COD community probably hates that. They're all hyped for Infinite Warfare. Nobody wants an actually realistic game that you can actually feel like you're fighting in a real war. That would suck. Okay, guys. That's pretty much all I have. I'm sure this guy will never see this video. But if he does, I'm not trying to be rude to you, man. I'm not trying to hate on you. All I'm saying is that you're an idiot and shouldn't call yourself a gamer. I'm not hating on my pastor. I'm not hating on anybody else. If you have this viewpoint, you know, I'm glad that you're able to have this viewpoint. And if you want to have it, go for it, okay? Because it's your choice. You can think this if you want. To me, it just seems stupid, okay? And probably to most of you it will. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you want to hear more stories like this, then please leave a like on this video. And subscribe if you haven't already. And I'll see you all in the next video. Peace, guys.
Invincible.